The only thing we have to fear is beer itself.
Beer. So many choices.
We no function beer well without.
Woohoo! Beer!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Busters, where we're going to bring you the news and reviews of some wonderful brews. My name is Dan Baker, joined, as always, by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
and, of course, our fermenter Tanner,
Wayne Baker.
Now, today, as if you can hear, and seems to be the trend, we're on location again.
We love being on location.
We do. We haven't been in the studio in like 7 months.
Coming soon.
Coming soon,
Coming
yeah.
soon,
yeah.
Valentine's special, Greg Orth.
That's the tradition.
Stay tuned.
Yes, stay tuned for that. But we've crossed state borders again, and I don't know why they let us back into New Jersey, but we're here.
Get out. Just go. Go back.
And in true New Jersey form, we hit a lot of traffic separately. I drove separately from Steph and Wayne, but we all hit bad traffic. But we're still happy to be here. We are at Flying Fish, and we have 3 guys with us who are kind enough to welcome us in. Gentlemen, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves.
Mark Graves.
Barry Holsten.
Chris Vaughn.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for having us out here.
And you may recognize one of those voices.
Yeah, I've been on a couple of times now.
Mr. Rockin' Tuna Gravy Slimy Sauce himself. Pickles.
The nickname gets longer every
Formerly
episode.
Every time.
Manny
Yunk. Yep.
joined us at Spellbound and now brought us back to Jersey to come to Flying Fish.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I'm happy to be here, and we were here before. I mean, not recording, but we came a few months ago, and I really like the space here. I've always liked Flying Fish beers, and that was the first time I'd been here, and I was very happy to be here.
And we were
Great
here
environment.
together. It was all three of us.
Yeah, one of the rare times I can actually join you guys. Yeah. Now, this is cool. Today's episode is sponsored by Audible.
Indeed.
If you're not familiar with Audible, I've mentioned it before on the podcast because I want to narrate things. But Audible, for those of you who don't have time to read, like me, but you have time to listen to things, besides Beer Busters, you can download audiobooks. And it's pretty much any book that comes out is available on Audible anymore. So if you go to audibletrial.com/beerbusters, you can download a free audiobook of your choice and let us know what you think. I want to know what book you pick, and if it's good, it doesn't have to be beer-related. It could be anything.
There is a large selection of beer-related books
Yeah.
on Audible, though. I was very excited when I was checking it out.
I think I downloaded but never listened to, like, the Science of Star Trek or something. And
I have that book.
yeah, I never got to
Wow.
listen to it, but I have it. It's there, and your book doesn't go away. So if you don't buy anything, you still keep the book. So if worse comes to worse, you get a free book. Anyway, back to beer. We have a sipping beer today as well that I wanna talk about. So what are we sipping on?
We're sipping on Exit 1.
Exit 1. Okay.
And this is an oyster stout, 7.5%.
A Bayshore oyster stout.
A Bayshore oyster stout.
Does Bayshore relate to Exit 1? Because, well, I'll let you explain. Each beer named after an exit. The beer is brewed inspired by something at that exit. Is that correct?
Exactly. So we have to link the beer to its environment and kind of make it relevant to, it's a storyline to get to the beer drinker to make sure that they have something cohesive to, it's a package. It's a food experience and a mental experience all at once. So Bayshore Stout combines with the old style of English brewing, adding the calcium shells through the oysters and getting a little bit of salinity from the oyster into the beer, marrying them with a roast and kind of drying out a sweet stout, making it a little bit more drinkable.
It is very nice. It's got a very rich character to it, but it's still very drinkable.
Yeah.
And refreshing at the same time.
What was the ABV on it?
7.5.
7.5.
Which it doesn't drink like 7.5.
No.
It's
It's very smooth and like it's dark, but it kind of like feels light, which I like about it.
Yeah, the calcium from the shells really attribute that drinkability.
yeah.
What gets me about oyster stouts, I don't like oysters, but I love stouts that use them. It's weird. It's kind of like I also like ketchup, but I hate tomatoes.
You're just weird.
I am
Hate
weird.
tomatoes.
I never ever argued with that.
Okay, fair enough.
Well-
These this exit series, which we're going to have some more later on, and we're going to, I'm sure, talk about it some more. But are these specific exits like off the Jersey Turnpike?
Right now we're working off the
Basically-
Jersey Turnpike.
Okay, and then you're just going to pick another route or highway, and you're going to do those exits as well. And
You could use the Pennsylvania
keep
Turnpike.
going.
Yeah, we can keep on going. We have, I think, 6 or 8 more exits to go through, and when we hit that, so we have 2 more years of doing the exit project.
Right.
After that, wherever we go is kind of like the team's got to get together and decide on what's right. You know, is it just something else from Dirty Jersey, or
or something else? I vote you do the Pennsylvania Turnpike. I think it's a good idea.
They're not a Pennsylvania brewery.
No, yeah, but they've done Jersey, so
They could do like 287
there you go.
or
We'll do
295.
across the river series.
There you go.
There you
Across
go.
the river.
I'm
I like
okay
that.
with that. I'm okay
You can
with
name them
that.
after all the bridges.
You could.
Yeah.
Bridges be tripping.
Anyway,
On that note, let's do this. So there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about. I've got a full-fledged story and then some talking points for some other stuff that happened. So last episode, I talked about the rivalry between, oh God, I already forget what it was. Brooklyn.
Sports.
It was sports-related, but it was Brooklyn and who brews Tank 7?
Boulevard.
Yeah. It was Brooklyn and Boulevard. They had a bet about the World Series. Well, it turns out that it also happens in hockey as well. So last year, Cigar City, out of course, Florida, and 3 Floyds out of Chicago decided that they were going to have a bet. It started with a few Twitter comments, and when the final 2 teams emerged to fight for the Stanley Cup, ultimately a collaboration was going to happen, and all the fans would win. So it's instead of pouring somebody else's beer at their brewery, they had a collaboration beer. They came up with Florida Man Loses Bet because the Tampa Bay Lightning lost the Stanley Cup.
Nice.
So you can get 12-ounce cans of Florida Man Loses Bet, which is a rye American black ale. It is now available in Cigar City's tap room for $14 for a 4-pack. Clocks in at about 8.5%. It was released beginning of November. And, of course, it is a limited run. So the Chicago Blackhawks, they defeated the Tampa Bay Lightning in 6 games to win the 2015 Cup. And as a side note, that was a great series. Those 6 games were the way hockey should be played. I know Wayne doesn't care.
I assume so. I don't.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
It was a good cup. If the Flyers couldn't be in it, I'm glad I saw good hockey at least. So the other things, one is nerdy, and I like this. Fallout 4 was released recently. For those who don't know what that is a video game, the 4th, as if you couldn't tell, in the series. And to go hand in hand with that, Bethesda, the company that made the game, they teamed up with Carlsberg for a beer in the UK. It's only available in the UK. There are no plans for distribution outside, which I am upset about. But if for some reason you are listening to this and you are in the UK, get the beer.
Ship it to us.
Yeah, and try to ship it to us and see if that works. It's a Pilsner. I couldn't find much details as far as tasting notes would go for it. Clocks in at about 4%. And for those of us here in the States, there's a soda that is available called Nuke Cola Quantum, and it's a bright blue soda.
Nice.
Yeah, but if you happen to be in the UK, grab the Carlsberg beer. It has the video game's logo right there on it, so you can't really miss it. Now, the next one's a little more serious. There's been a deal, and it's been floating around for a little bit, and I know we posted some things on social media about it. AB InBev and Miller, the merger between them. So it's
Skynet.
it's
Of
become
beer.
the Skynet of beer. It seems more and more like it's actually going to happen. It still needs to go through, I think, a judicial review, basically. But the price tag I've seen ranges from $105 to $107 billion.
Yeah.
Which, if I saw right, that's the largest merger in history.
Wow.
It's gigantic.
Wow.
The deal is scheduled to close in the second half of 2016, and the Miller Coors division is going to be sold off to Molson Coors for $12 billion. Now, I want to tie this in with craft beer because Bob Pease, who is the CEO of the Brewers Association, released a press release, a statement about the deal, urging legislators to really just closely examine the potential effects on it, because that's going to give one company, 30% of global beer production.
1 out of every 3 beers in the world
is going
will
to
be owned by Skynet.
And you have to wonder what that's going to mean for distribution, what it's going to mean for at the lower level. I mean, even ones that were just recently acquired. I know, Goose Island is owned by one of the big
10
ones.
Barrel, Elysian.
Yep, Elysian is another one which
scooped up. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's interesting to see what's going to happen with that. So it's getting further and it's getting closer to actually happening. So pay attention to that one if you can. I'm sure any updates that are out there will post online or talk about.
We will keep you apprised as the situation warrants.
Yes.
But pay attention to who makes your beers.
Yeah, that too. Speaking of beers that are made and not owned by giant conglomerations, Flying Fish. I've known Flying Fish as a brand for a very, very long time. Now, I used to work in Jersey over the Cherry Hill Mall, and I would go across the street, and I would go to Total Wine. And I would always try to do a mix 6. And at one point, I forget what the first one I had was, but I noticed the logo. The logo caught me and got me into it. And I went from there and started off with one in my mix 6, and then next time I went back in, which was like 3 days later because I would drink a lot, I would go back in, and then there were 2 in there, and then I would go and get my mix 6, and then a 6 of something else from Flying Fish, and I was really glad that we got to come here at the beginning of the year, and I really like the space you guys have here. I like the beers that you guys are brewing. How long have you guys been here?
It's been about almost 4 years for this facility. They were in Olney Avenue in Cherry Hill for like 18 years, and then moved over here and just totally revamped the whole facility, new equipment, actually new brewing staff now. Everybody sitting at this table has been tenured with the brewing company for 3 years or less.
Yeah.
So, including myself. And, it's been fun, championing a brewery that I admired so much when I first started brewing. I can remember working in a homebrew shop, looking on AOL every day, trying to download, 12 paragraphs of code to get, the
It took 8 hours.
Yeah, my 24 baud computer, and every day going, oh, there's going to be a production facility in New Jersey. I was so in awe that it was going to happen, and now to be almost 20 years later being head brewer is really cool.
That's awesome. And this is a pretty big space. I mean, not just here in the tap room, but I imagine the whole facility. So, what is how big is this compared to the previous location?
The previous location was about 10,000 square feet.
Okay.
And they were putting out about 11 to 12,000 barrels of beer in it. Now we're at 43,000 square feet.
Wow.
And we have the capability of we max out tanks and get additional equipment to be like 75,000 barrels.
Wow. Yeah, Mark showed me the equipment that was back there. It is impressive.
Oh, thank you.
The brew deck alone is shy of when we got the tour of Trogs. I think that's the biggest brew deck that I've seen.
And Trogs is ginormous,
we have a little mini system compared to Trogs.
Most systems are mini compared to Trogs.
They're our big brother, and John Trogner has been such a big help for me. When I assumed the head brewer position, he helped me out along the way. Yeah, I mean, I owe everything right now. A big prop to John Trogner.
That's awesome. So when you were at another brewery before, you said, right?
Yeah, I was at a River Horse prior to here.
Oh, okay. I know River Horse.
Yeah, I like River Horse.
Yeah, good stuff. And Mark, when did you come over to back to this side of the river?
I came back over to the good side. I believe it was April.
It's debatable.
April I came over here.
The good side?
Yeah, Jersey.
I don't know. That's debatable. But
Exactly.
Just say the east side. The east side.
The east side, you can do that.
We're appropriately divided on either
Oh,
side
yeah,
of the
we
table.
are. I didn't even think of that.
That's true. Anyway, we got Pennsylvania
The
on one
table
side.
is the Delaware River.
Yeah, the table is the Delaware River.
So is the beer drowning? Either that or it's very dark.
The beer's the water.
Yeah, something.
It's something we can agree on.
And then, Chris, how long have you been with Flying Fish, and what brought you here?
Coming on, I guess, about 3 years. I was previously at Iron Hill at one of their brew pub facilities, and I left there and I came here.
Nice.
To move on to experience something bigger. They had a 15-barrel system there, and obviously we have a 50-barrel system, so just to take a step up and bigger things.
Nice.
But then you also get to distribute the beer as well, because Iron Hill is just, they have different locations, but they don't send their beer anywhere else. So
no, not at the time when I was there. I've heard talk now that they're having mobile canning units come in.
Wow.
And, the legislation doesn't allow it right now in New Jersey, but that's probably in the future.
That would be cool. So.
No, it's really cool that Gene's still a part of legislation, and he's trying to allow breweries to do these sort of things. And it's about giving people freedom to express their product to the consumer. And it's really just a cool time about brewing right now.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of legislation, Mark having we mentioned, crossed both sides of the river, and you guys having experience in Pennsylvania, New Jersey with brewing, what are the major differences and hurdles either in one state or the other as far as brewing and serving beer? Or do you just make you don't pay attention to that?
I mean, the biggest thing that always jumps into everyone's mind when they walk into a place like this is, all right, where's your food?
Right.
And that's probably the biggest thing that just right off the bat. There's little smaller things here and there, like, you could only get a case or now 12-pack in Philadelphia, but yeah, it's mainly just with food, if you're allowed to serve food. And I think they've lessened it. We're allowed food trucks now, but we just can't advertise it in New Jersey. So it'll get there. Eventually, I know it will get there. Jersey's still very young in the craft beer scene, burgeoning, growing, but very young.
What's it been like brewing now in a more commercial brewery setting, more about production and less on the brew pub side? I mean, both of you have experience working on the pub side, being at Manioc and being at Iron Hill. How is that different? It's
been a lot of fun. I mean, it's a lot more fast-paced, and you have to keep to a schedule, and it can get crazy at times, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, we have 4 brewers running 3 shifts. Barry makes 5, and it's fun. It's almost like a camaraderie too, because at my previous employer, it was just like, it was either Evan or I, be day shift, night shift. But here, it's like, we kind of bleed over, so we're always like helping each other out. And even if we have a lot going on, I know like one of us, Chris, will just jump in and help, and it's a lot of fun.
It's a labor of love.
Yeah,
it has to be, because it is a labor. And you gotta love it. Absolutely,
for sure.
And I prefer having moving brew pub brewers into the commercial setting. I don't like getting people straight out of school and going into a brewery. They're kind of a little bit gun shy, and they really don't get what's going on. It's a progression.
You do really have to cut your teeth, at a different.
Yeah, you have to earn your chops, and then you have to have. I like having brewers with a dialogue and pushback of when we're developing a new recipe or ingredients. What choices do we make, and let's have a talk about it. It's not just a one-man show; it's a team sport, and that's the way I want to see the brewery work.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do, because then if it's more of the group decision, so everybody gets to have a say in it, and I would imagine it turns out better that way, even as a beer, that it would taste better.
Everybody has ownership. Everybody can walk away and say, I own a part of this product, and I'm really proud about it. This is mine, and be very proud about their product. And that's all about brewing. It's why I got into brewing is, the consumer on the other side says, wow, this is so fantastic. I want to do this over again. And then I have to deliver it once again. And,
right. And just as good. Yeah.
Or better.
It really becomes fun when we start releasing things like limited releases and exit beers, because Barry will come to us and be like, all right, we need to come up with a new recipe. Just think of something. Come up with a recipe. We'll brew it on the tiny system, and we'll see if it's good. And it's really cool because the 4 of us will get together, the brewers, and just talk about what we want to do, and it can be really fun like that. Oh, absolutely.
Well, the firkin they mentioned earlier, they really do have the tap for it, but it's being hidden because they don't want to serve it.
It's too crazy. It won't work.
Well, with any idea, there has to be a dialogue and an oratory and a response, and you kind of whittle it down to what makes sense, because it's almost like playing in a band. You join a brewery, you join its philosophy, you join its history, and you got to paint in with it kind of within defined lines, and then explore on that and grow. So it's kind of hard with a company that's 18 years old or 19 years old, where they have a current customer base, and you have to make a new product that has to appeal to those guys and then the new market. Yeah. So we're dealing almost with 2 generations of beer drinkers right now with Flying Fish. So it's really hard. You're trying to appease the people who've been with you and supporting you, but then reach out to the new guys. So that's why a collaborative effort really, really is necessary to reach out.
And so in the process of recipe development, is it kind of, as far as the initial idea, is a free-for-all? Anybody can come in and say, hey, I have this idea, let's talk about it, work it out, see if it'll work.
And that's our Exit 15.
Yeah.
The brewers had an idea. I did the first beer exit I worked on was Exit 3, And I don't want to do a by myself beer anymore. I want to have a collaborative. And Ham and Vaughn, I guess, said, you guys, let's think of something. And they started doing small batch brewing, and I'm like, this is the way we're going. And Gene really supported it and followed us through. And it's really cool.
How big are your small batches?
Well, small batches like 15 gallons on it, like, kegs with the tops cut off.
And then if it's good, you do, an exit beer, 50 barrels then right away?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah,
with Exit 3, it was 50 barrels to start with. Maybe
that wasn't
one.
even a small batch. We just jumped in the deep end on that one.
Hold your breath and cross your fingers.
But when we made Exit 15, it was a recipe they came up with, and it just kept selling really well. I think it came out, 2 or 3 times, and it just really sold well. They're like, hey, we might have something here. And it came out really good.
Yeah, I'm really proud of that.
And the one we're finishing up now, Exit 1, this is in 6-packs of the smaller bottles, but some of the Exit beers are available in bomber bottles.
Yeah.
Does that just go by style? You make that decision by ABV? How do you decide how to package them and sell?
It's usually during the release. The first release is in a large bottle, and then if it really seems to trend well, like the Exit 1, we're going to put only in variety packs with Exit 9, 4, and 16. So it came back in a more manageable, container. I like it smaller containers where you can share it, and if you buy a 6-pack, you can spread it out with your friends. The 750 is really a commitment, and you got to make sure your friends are over to have it.
Yeah.
Depends
on the beer, depends on the mood, depends on the day.
With that being said, it has to be on point.
Yeah.
And hopefully next year we'll have 3 releases of Exits beers.
And what does a release look like? Do you guys have a big event here, or?
We'd like to.
Yeah? These crazy people that like to come to these breweries and line up out the door, and then Dock Street have an inspected deck come in, and some of it's becoming a thing now, these beer releases.
It's an event, and again, it goes to the food movement in the United States, where it's an experience. We're putting something deeply personal into it. We're making something that you're going to ingest and incorporate to. So it's like people are that into it, and it's really cool. It's just like music. It's just like anything, movies, music. It's really, really cool, and I'm blown away by the time I started brewing in '94 professionally, getting paid, to now. The world is such a different place, and the average consumer is so much more educated on what they're drinking, what they want to drink, and where to go. And it's really awesome because 20 years ago, I'm like, please try my honey wheat ale. And
what is that?
They're like, no, I'm going to drink my Bud Light.
Yeah, I'll have a lager, please.
I can also imagine that presents a sort of challenge with it then, too, because the consumer being more educated on it, knowing what they want. If you want to do, like you said earlier, if you want to do something new, you still have to appeal to what they already know. More than just like your beers here, but even just on a style level too.
Oh, absolutely.
So I know one beer you were telling me about earlier, Mark, was the strawberry milk something or other. Like, how did that come about, and do you think that would appeal to the, I guess, more educated beer consumer?
It was just something we wanted to try. I heard one of my friends went down south and heard of this brewer that, like, you always hear when you make strawberry beers, they just don't really taste like strawberry. They taste very, like, watery, cardboardy, almost chemically sometimes. And somebody said he had, like, this milk stout at a bar down south, and he's like, oh my God, like, what did you do to this? And he used freeze-dried strawberries. So I was like, we got to try that. So I told Barry about it, and we're like, all right, let's do that. We got Exit 1 coming out. So Leanne, one of our other brewers, got some milk sugar, threw it in, threw some strawberries in, and it came out damn good.
Nice. And I think that's important with those kind of more unusual flavor in beers like strawberry, and, when you get real crazy with, like, goat brains and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, some of it comes across as gimmicky sometimes, and sometimes it is just gimmicky, but other times it's genuinely a really good beer.
It's just
really
fun.
Idea.
But if you pull it off and really convert somebody for that wow factor, I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
it's just like for that person to be like, oh my God, you just blew my mind.
And with 4,000 breweries in the United States, you got to make yourself stand apart somehow. I mean, you can make solid award-winning beers, but the reality is the modern-day craft beer drinker gets bored easily. They want something new. They want something exciting. They want to brag to their friends. So, I mean, you guys continue to make well-made, interesting, and well-made medal-winning beers, but you're still doing something fun to attract the attention of the ADD modern-day craft beer drinker that wants something new.
Yeah, I attributed that mostly to having a young, new staff and really go getting it, you know. Ideas coming in from Mark.
Are you the ideas guy?
Not always.
It's usually Chris.
It's usually Chris. Chris comes up with some great ideas.
It comes from my, I guess, the homebrewing background, where just pushing the envelope, being creative, and just having a passion for it and really caring about what you make.
Yeah.
So what's one idea that you brought to Flying Fish that I guess what's the one you're most proud of?
Oh, the Rojo, probably, right?
Well, I don't know if that was completely my idea. I think that was more Barry's. I think my biggest contribution to what we do here, other than the hard labor of work, is the barrel aging of beers. That's where I get my enjoyment out of taking what we already have and trying to be more creative with something that we make that already exists. And whether it's in a bourbon barrel or a tequila barrel, a rum barrel, or any kind of barrel we can get, really. So I kind of feel like that's where I can shine and show what I'm doing at this point.
What
so
exciting
anybody with a
thing!
barrel, please send it over.
Chris wants barrels.
Please send
so
your barrels.
what's aging right now?
Pretty much all of our core brands are in one barrel or another.
Nice.
And we just had the big Rojo release did really well. We did basically an amped up version of our Redfish. We made it a little bit more imperial, and then we aged it in Jose Cuervo tequila barrels.
Whoa.
Which
Special barrels.
Special barrels, which they had used, and then they sent them to us. We had aged the beer in it. Then we sent the barrels back, and then they put the tequila back into our beer barrels. So
wow,
it was just a leapfrogging of it. And now that in New Jersey only, that tequila is for sale on the shelves. So you'll see a Jose Cuervo Tradicional bottle that has at the very bottom will have a Flying Fish logo on it.
That's pretty
That
awesome.
is
Which I think Barry's going to get right now. So you'll
That
see
would-
it in a
I
second.
wasn't sure.
I was like, what happened?
Is he rage quitting or?
I mean,
These guys.
he looked pretty excited when he got up, so I thought he was going to do something cool.
And he left his phone, so clearly he's coming
So he's
back.
coming back.
So tell me more. Tell me more. What else is in barrels?
Well, I mean, I just look behind. We have,
It's like a bedtime
depending
story.
on the style of beer. I mean, we have our Abbey Double is in barrels. Pretty much every beer we make is in a barrel, one way or another. It's either in a Chardonnay barrel, a Pinot barrel, bourbon, tequila, rum, like I've mentioned before.
We also have some sours too. We
Lot
play
of
around with that
sours.
a little bit. Once we get to like third use, we try to play around with that. And every once in a while, it comes out really good. I think we have sour saison on right now.
Ooh,
Yeah,
nice.
Our farmhouse we've had in barrels.
Oh boy.
The FU Sandy. I don't know if you're familiar with that beer. It did really well.
Oh, FU Sandy, I just got that.
It did
Okay,
really
yeah.
well as a sour beer.
Right.
We used a Chardonnay barrel to age it and sour it. We added Roselaire yeast to make the sour flavor, and we're really happy with that one.
And a bottle of
Nice.
tequila just showed
Bottle
up.
of
Nice,
danger.
and there it
Bottle
is,
of
the
danger.
Flying
Bottle of
Fish
danger.
logo on a bottle of Jose Cuervo. That is pretty awesome, guys.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
It's not. I don't
It's
know.
what?
Amazing.
No, it's.
You got to say it right.
Amazing.
There it is.
There
I didn't
it
even
is.
hit the button.
Wait for it.
I was waiting for Dan to hit the sound clip, and you sound exactly the same
Yeah.
thing live.
Well, it's like when I
wonder
hit.
why.
It's like when I do that-
Breaking news.
You sound
It's exactly
dead on
the same.
to that.
So this may be the first time we've ever had tequila on the podcast. We have had rum.
Yeah, we had rum,
We've had
vodka, whiskey,
and gin.
and gin.
We've had mead, but
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever had tequila. This is a first, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh boy.
Oh man.
Yay.
So that's the one. So it has a Flying Fish logo on the bottle there.
Yeah, on
Yes.
the bottom, the little thing on the bottom there.
Oh yeah, I see it now.
See it there?
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
They had sent us 30 first-use barrels from their facility. We aged the Jose Rojo in it, and then we sent it back. And then this is the product that came from those barrels that they re-aged tequila in.
Nice.
So before you cross the bridge, you should get a bottle because it's only available in New Jersey.
Nice. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, as soon as you started talking about it, I'm like, I know where I can get some. Secret stash.
Oh, man.
Cheers. Thanks for having
Yeah,
us.
salute.
Cheers. Thank you.
Jersey and PA unite.
Jersey and PA.
Clink.
Across the river.
Clang, clang, clang.
Clang, clang, clang. Goes to Charlie.
Ring, ring goes the bell.
Exactly. Thank you for
Wow.
not leaving me hanging.
Oh boy.
Ooh, that is smooth.
That is delicious.
That is smooth. Tequila is probably one of my least favorite liquors, but this is really nice.
It seems to add a little bit of the earthiness and body to the tequila, where it's so fruity and some of the fusely alcohols.
Exactly. Yeah.
It kind of like mellows
Sort
it
of
out.
dulls that edge a little bit. Yeah. Wow.
You can buy this here at the brewery?
No.
No?
But only in New Jersey.
You can only drink it in my office.
But you can buy it in New Jersey, just not here.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you go to Ballast Point and they make all those wonderful spirits, but you can't buy them at Ballast Point. You have to go to Bevmo.
Right. We don't have the spirit license.
This is
Another
amazing.
thing that Jersey needs to change.
Yeah. I would love to have a distillery right here.
Right there.
That would be cool.
Do it. That's the next step.
As soon as Gene changes the law, it'll be right there.
All right. Sounds good. Gene.
Gee.
So what's in your mind, Chris, next? What hasn't become an exit beer or a Flying Fish beer? What do you really want to make that hasn't happened yet?
I mean, with talk about what we're going to do next year, we started discussing that as a team to, like Barry mentioned earlier, we're focused on probably 3 new exits this year, for this coming year, and probably 1 or 2 one-offs for Philly Beer Week. I don't remember what the other one was, probably just because we like to make new things.
Gene wants to do the forage beer.
Okay, yes,
so we
that
have
was it.
we have to figure it's called walking beer. So it's the whole premise is something you can find on a walk out in a certain park and incorporate those elements into a beer. We're looking at sours. Mark's looking at cultivating yeast off of plums and
Nice.
whatever kind of works and gels. So it's like at this point it's like we're throwing the spaghetti on the wall and kind of everybody kind of like getting their resources together. Let's bring it together and kind of go, okay, what mad scientist mixture can we put in the porridge pot and make happen and work? So it's really cool, to have everybody have their individual ideas and bring it to the table and go, yeah, I want this, and everybody, you go, oh wait, that's really tertiary and pedestrian of what we're doing, but how do we make it work?
Right.
Let's, this homebrew, every brewer that's in Flying Fish, including the owner, has been a home brewer. So at the end of the day, it's about experimentation and bringing it in, and that's the exploration, that's the fun. You're in a commercial brewery, yeah, it's production. That has its elements of fun, of how do I make different ingredients make the same thing happen. But then it's, when we have elements of when we're creative, we have to make it count. It's like each exit beer is our resume, and you have to top it, and you have to you put your mark on it, your stamp on it, and your personal pride, and you got to move and go, this is the best thing we did right now, but the next one will be even better. So it'll be different, change gears and throw some mud on the wall.
That's cool.
And that's what's nice about the location we have here with the tasting room, which we didn't have at the old location. We can make small batch things. The ideas that pop into our head during the day, we write down on the dry erase board and we discuss them, and then we brew them in the back, and then we can stick them out here and see what kind of traffic they get. And it's really the telltale sign of if the batch sells out that night, or it sells out in 2 days, or it takes the weekend to sell it. You really know what the people like, and just by the sale of the beer. So it's good to have that as a reference to see if what we made is worth making it again or changing it.
And it's nice being a production brewery that distributes, also having the tap room that's pretty well trafficked. As you can see, there's a lot of people here tonight. It's your own little laboratory. And you say, I'm going to put this on tap and see how the people respond. And then, a year down the road, it might be in every bar and bottle shop in 20 miles,
Yeah, and it's hard really to tell because it's like you're putting it into the ether. Yeah. You make all these bottles and you're like, okay, where did it go? Who has it?
Yeah. It's out there.
It's out there.
The beer is out there. Every
day we're making up between 1,200 and 1,600 cases of beer. And, every once in a while I'll look at it and go, where are you going? Where are you going? What bottle are you going? What good time, And it's kind of like, wow, I miss being in a brew pub where it was almost like direct interaction with your consumer. This is the closest thing I can get to it now because we're all here full time, and it's not like we go out to a bunch of bars all over the place and go, hey, how'd you like 15? What's going on?
It's tough relying on social media to follow one of your beers because it could be off the charts or you just don't. It's unpredictable what
everyone's a beer critic online.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's no different than being in a brew pub and getting going from bar stool to bar stool. What do you think about this beer? If you served everybody at the bar the same beer, they're going to have a drastically different opinion.
Yeah.
And to be able to kind of weed through that and go, okay, this is what I'm going to catalog. How am I going to change? And what is the perception? And is it, realistic, or sometimes is it? It's how to gauge that reaction and try to work with it.
Yeah. How many taps do you guys have here?
10?
Yeah.
10, and then on Wednesdays we'll sub one out for Barrel Age Wednesday, which is either one of our barrel offerings or sour. I think it's Thursdays or Friday nights is Firkin night, and every once in a while we change it around a little bit, but 10 main taps.
And do you offer
we actually
tours?
Need more.
Yeah, I think on the weekends we do offer tours. Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah, they're usually on the hour.
Yeah.
Are you guys usually here Saturday and Sunday?
Not if we can help it.
So that's why they were timed that way.
Yeah.
So you're not like monkeys at the zoo where people come in and you're actually brewing and they're watching.
Every once in a while, when we have events like this, there's a bunch of kids here, we'll be, we have our third brewer back there, Leanne, and she's working, and she's, she probably feels like she's in the zoo right now because there's 60 kids walking back there, but...
Not 15.
Not 15. I said 15.
And we have to be clear. He's saying kids, but they are over 21. They're just freshly 21.
Not kids.
Not like little kids.
Kids to Slimy Sauce?
Kids enough.
Well, on that note, now that we're more familiar with you guys and with Flying Fish, shall we try a couple beers?
I think
we should beer.
All right. We should beer.
We should
That's
beer.
a good way to put it.
Beer me! Beer me! Beer me! Beer me!
All right, so the crowd's dying down a little bit. We have a couple beers that are in front of us here. We're starting off with, I believe, the Grand Cru, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And what I like about this is there's a side-by-side with a barrel-aged version of it, which smells, looks, and tastes fantastic.
And now the Grand Cru is considered your winter release, correct?
Yes, it's a winter seasonal that we start brewing well before winter.
Yes.
I feel like I get older earlier with this job because my seasons show up a lot quicker than now.
Most people judge their seasons by the months and the dates. I usually go by, as a production brewer, I'm usually about 3 months off, and I'm brewing wow, it's February. I'm going to be brewing my summer beer. Let's go. It's farmhouse time.
I'm sweating my balls off. Time to have a pumpkin beer.
Exactly. I was going to say it's July and I'm brewing a pumpkin beer.
So it's August.
Well, at least you're not releasing a pumpkin beer in July. That'd be totally different.
I don't know about that.
So here's a question: do you guys do a pumpkin beer, or have you done pumpkin beers?
There's
no
pumpkin edict at this brewery.
Is that a no-go?
Is that on the vanilla list?
It's on the vanilla list.
No vanilla and no pumpkin beers.
And no brown ales.
And no brown ales.
Interesting enough, though, we did do a small batch in the back, and it was a pumpkin porter, and it sold out in the first day.
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah.
Everybody loves
And it
pumpkin.
may or may not have had vanilla in it.
No, it did not.
All right.
It did not.
As far as my edict goes, no vanilla in the beer.
So this beer has a lot of clove and allspice notes and almost hints of nutmeg, but there's none of that actually in this beer.
No. The yeast really does the heavy lifting, and really, the West Mallow yeast. makes all those flavors, and it really makes the beer dynamic.
It's delicious. This would be a good bring to Christmas dinner
Yes.
kind of beer.
Absolutely.
Quite tasty.
But what I think you should even more bring to Christmas dinner is the next one.
Yeah? The
Which is
barrel
this
aged?
beer.
Barrel-aged one?
Barrel-aged.
Oh,
in a Jack
it
Daniel's
smells
barrel.
amazing.
For 2 years.
Amazing.
For 2 years.
Lots of oaky vanilla notes. But
Without
again,
vanilla.
no vanilla.
Without vanilla.
No vanilla. We promise.
It gives
Vanillin
the
from
allure
oak.
of vanilla.
A little natural tartness that
Yeah.
comes through in the
Oh,
barrel.
yeah. It's so nice. It starts tart, and then you get the wood notes in there, and then like finishes clean and tart. I love it.
And you get just the hint of the bourbon character at the very end.
right at the end.
And, in
That
the
little
aftertaste.
caramelness. I'm
Well,
having
caramelness?
caramelness. I make up words on this show. You know that.
Caramelosity.
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 I'm having deja vu.
I'm having deja vu as well.
So you guys,
Bouchardais.
I think we all are.
you guys don't clean your barrels? Is that
Ever?
correct?
No, we don't wash them.
we get them straight from the supplier. We look and see if they left us any treats in there, any kind of bourbon. Most time there's nothing left, other than the time we got them from Breckenridge, and
We had Breckenridge, with
we had about
bourbon.
Nice.
yeah, we had about 2 gallons of Breckenridge bourbon. We filtered through a coffee filter.
And the brewery had, a very nice day. Everybody inside was very happy.
We were.
This is spectacular. This beer is delicious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think
it's,
I'm on my second glass.
Yeah, we put
Yeah.
it in October of 13.
Yep.
And we just let it sit. And we taste them periodically every few months. Depending on the use of the barrels, we typically get 3 uses out of a barrel before you start losing the characteristics of the bourbon and the wood, and then that's what we'll turn them over to like our souring side. So this I think was the 3rd turn on the barrel, which you can see
Yeah.
why we turn them over to sour after that, because of the tartness that it's picking up, and the bourbon's the very end. So on the first turn on that barrel, it would have been heavy wood and oak and roasted marshmallow and vanilla. And as you can see, how the barrel fades away and becomes this. So which still makes a great beer.
It's almost like fade away, I guess is the right word, because like it's still there, but it's like a pillow.
Sort of a pillow. Like a
No,
pillow.
Would you
like-
rest your head on it at night?
It's like tart, and then you get this like barrel, and then tart. Yeah, no, like
Oh, barrel.
You let me sniff your barrel, and then we're best friends for life.
thanks.
It's like she knew that was coming.
Yeah. I think so.
Thanks.
But it's
I don't
super
trust
complex.
you.
I mean, the base beer is incredible, but just the complexity you get out of the barrel and from all that funk and sour that's in there as well, that just adds that extra layer.
It's really fun letting, Chris have his, fun with different beers, and letting, where I said before, not bending a beer to your will, but letting the beer have its path, and
Yep.
it'll tell you where it needs to go. And Chris has really been mentoring the barrels and kind of focusing the beers and where we want to
mentor
go.
of the barrels.
Yeah.
I like that.
Listen up, barrel.
That's your
I'm actually just picturing him like in a corner, like cradling a barrel in his arm, just stroking
You
it.
can do it, buddy. Come on.
You
Come
drink
on,
enough
mate.
beer, it will happen.
you drink enough beer.
Another month or 2, and you'll be there.
It's okay, Barrel. We'll do better next time.
And I mean,
Poor
I-
barrel.
Come on, barrel. We got this. We got this.
It's got oak envy.
And I know that we drank these side by side, but if you notice the crew that we made this year, I mean, you get that heavy, not heavy, but a nice Belgian phenolic, all the spices to it. But I think with the barrel age, that kind of fades that Belgian note away, and it's still noticeable, but it's not as predominant as you would just drinking the beer on its own.
Yeah, that aroma, as soon as you bring the glass to your face, I mean, that's just, what you get. And then with this one, I mean, it's still an amazing aroma, but you wouldn't even believe it was the same beer. It's amazing how much a barrel will change a base beer.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, and the thing about the barrels is that we put them in unfiltered too.
Heavy.
Once we reached the gravity or the Plato that we wanted to reach, then that's when we fill the barrel. So anything that goes in the barrel is unfiltered, still has all the yeast in it and everything that was in it, and then we just put it in there and we'll age it. So it's exactly the same beer, just had a different conditioning time and location, really.
Do you ever bottle any of the barrel-aged beers, or are those things you can only get
That's
here?
something that we're working on.
Well, we did with 351. That was we did a New Jersey 350, which was supposed to celebrate last year, New Jersey's 350 anniversary, and we weren't supported. I shouldn't say that, but it was produced for the New Jersey government, and they were going to have this big celebration and really do these, huge events. And Chris Christie and the Bridgegate thing really put a kibosh on that. So here we are sitting on like a tank of beer, and I'm like, well, it's not going anywhere. Let's put it into Breckenridge barrels, whatever barrels we can salvage in the house, and we bottled like 500 750s of 351, and it came out phenomenal.
Yeah, we love 350 on its own. We were really proud of that one, and to see it come out of the bourbon barrel was you didn't think the beer could be better, but when it came out of the bourbon barrel, you really saw that it could be better.
And that's a great thing to do when I have all this beer and I don't know what to do with it. Put it in some barrels. Why not?
That's why we need everybody who has their own barrel that has no home to send it to Flying Fish at 900 Kennedy.
And then Chris will tell it what to do.
Right.
Listen up. You're at Flying Fish now.
We have an orientation program for the barrels.
See all these barrels lined up and him standing in the front with like a pointer.
Does each barrel have its own personality?
Oh, it's really sad.
Well,
he considers them as children.
Not individually, but from different bourbon distilleries, they do. So I could tell you which one was in the Maker's Mark barrel, which one was in the Jack Daniel's barrel.
Is there one that's a little bastard and one that's like your baby?
Yeah, Jack Daniel's.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You bastard.
It gets a bit ornery sometimes.
I'm sure it does.
So moving on, we have the Abbey Double, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to be sure.
So is it appropriate to say double or double?
Dubel.
Thoughts?
Dubai, whatever you want.
So we're drinking the United Arab Emirates right now?
That would be a much richer beer.
Oh, but I'm shush.
Au contraire.
Gold rim glass.
This is delicious.
It really, really is.
Thank you.
It's got a nice malty sweetness and a nice
perhaps plums and cherries.
And cherries.
I feel like the brewer might be in my head right now.
Yeah, I don't know. So like a psychic link. But it does. I believe it cleans up after itself.
It does.
It cleans up.
It gives you that illusion that it's going to be really, really sweet, and then it's like, oh, poof.
It's like, oh, poof, nope.
That's my new way of saying cleans up after itself.
It's like the kid that like hits you and hits you and hits you, and then one day it's like, no, I was going to hit you. I was going to hit you.
Wow, not where I was going with that at all.
How do you know my older brother?
Because I'm an older brother.
So this is a really delicious beer.
Yeah.
Not all Belgians
doesn't remind
for me.
Of abuse, you know?
Oh dear. Not all Belgians for me are extremely drinkable, but this, you get all those wonderful yeasty Belgian notes. But you can drink this and drink a lot of it and drink it with food and enjoy it, and that's
it's
what
8%.
I like. No, it's not.
Is it really?
It is.
That's frightening.
Shit.
Oh wow.
But it's a year-rounder for us, and as Steph was saying, it's a very versatile beer. I feel like you could have it with a nice steak, something rich, a burger, and it's got a lot of complexity to it. You taste it once, you get a little bit of raisiny notes to it. Taste another time, you get a little bit of nuttiness to it, sugary sweetness, and it is
I'm
a
getting
very
the cherry
versatile
now.
beer.
I have to say, the first time you said cherry, I was like, kind of. Now I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
In the back of my throat, I'm getting the cherry.
A little bit
You
cherry.
get dark fruits out of it.
Dark stone fruits, a little bit of nutmeg from the yeast.
I suddenly just thought of gingerbread cookies for some inexplicable reason. I don't know where that came from, but 'tis the season.
I feel like I could eat this with a really well-made flatbread pizza.
If you could eat this, I'd be impressed.
With-
Like a knife
I mean,
and
I'd
fork.
be worried.
Shut the hell up. Shut the hell up.
And
Shut the hell
what's
up.
really
You can caramelize it down and with onions.
What's really,
Caramelized onions, maybe some mushrooms,
On a
with some
pizza?
sage on top.
Cheesesteak?
Fancy
I
pizza.
could do a cheesesteak.
Yeah, but
and what's
fancy
cool
pizza.
about, like you were talking about the barrel aging, this beer really, like in the barrel, takes away all those Belgian characters and it leaves you the roasted, a little bit of chocolate flavors, and it's really cool. It erases all the Belgian. It's like it didn't happen.
It's like it didn't happen. Erase it. It didn't happen.
They become two different beers.
Yeah,
they do.
Absolutely, and it shows you the skeletal construct of the beer underneath, which is really cool.
Like we had a sour Abbey in Pinot Noir barrels, and Chris gave me a taste of it and was like, "This is Abbey? Like this is incredible! Like I can't believe it. It just goes to show you like barrel aging can completely change a beer. Some breweries will put in like one of their base beers in a Chardonnay barrel and sour it for a couple of years, and you're like, wait, really? You use your base standard year-round beer with this? Mm-hmm. And it just goes to show like you're in this old world environment, the wood's breathing, you pick up tannins, which change the mouthfeel. There's so many different things going on, and you can get a great result out of it.
So we got one more this round. One more. What is this one more?
Ooh.
It smells good. It tastes good. I stuck a sip.
Redfish?
Redfish.
Rojo.
It's one fish, two fish, redfish. Stop there.
Now I get
Is there a bluefish?
We've been
It's been discussed.
mulling ideas. Obviously, the thing to go with would be blueberries, but I don't know. We don't want to make it that easy.
Blue cheese.
Blue cheese. I like
Blue
that
cheese
idea.
barrel aged.
Blue cheese barrel aged.
A barrel of salad dressing.
Yeah, I got
On the side.
I got 7 C's coming in.
We could pair it with wings. I don't know.
You know, given this conversation,
Is this filtered? No, that's just blue cheese.
Why is my beer chunky?
it almost feels like we've already done a tasting segment.
I know. It does.
It's so weird.
It's so weird, isn't it?
But this
Thanks,
this
Steve
one,
Jobs.
we won a medal at GABF for this year.
Yay.
That was a smooth
Redfish.
way of sneaking that in there.
I tried.
Worth mentioning.
It is.
Yeah, it's hard to medal. I mean,
With this many breweries right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
So many breweries popping up, and it's exciting to win. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, we won a few medals each year in the past, and this year we just won one, and it shows that people are bringing really great beer to the market, and we're still competing with them. And what I find, what I take pride in with these medals is that what we're winning medals with our core brands that we're making week after week after week. And a lot of times, and I'm not putting anybody down in any way, but they're making certain beers just to send to these competitions.
Yeah.
And I think it's good that we're winning medals with beers that we make every week.
That anybody can afford in this area and grab. It's not like a $22 bottle of something, or a bottle that you're never going to see.
A limited release out the door,
You know.
kind of thing.
Yeah, like I mean, even my cousin's brewery, sidebar, but just won a medal for a barley wine they made, and it's if anybody's going to Colorado, it's like, oh my god, I got to try that, but it was a one-off for them, so many people aren't going to try that.
Oh yeah.
But it's really cool about Redfish is this is something that we are making all year, and people can be like, oh, I got to try that. Wow, this is a good beer, So.
Now, I know you said there's no rye in this, but I
None
get
rye.
that great spicy, malty rye punch, both in the aroma and the flavor, and I really, really love it. I love the balance between malt and hops, but it's not the typical balance between malt and hops.
No,
if that makes sense.
There's a bit of earthiness going on within the malt and hop balance, and that comes from having a kind of a dialogue between the malt being American and German, and the hops being typical Northwest hops. They kind of have this, conversation where it's like, wow, we're a little bit drier, we're a little bit more, there's a malt factor, but it's a dry malt factor, and it has that insinuation of rye where you think it's there, but it's really not.
Right.
And it's a really cool beer, and it's been a labor for it's one of the hardest beers I've ever worked on, besides our XPA.
Making the medal even more meaningful.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, it needs to pass our taste buds. And at the end of the day, can I drink this beer at the end of a work day and enjoy it and go, okay, this is going outside to whoever may receive this case of beer, and is it being represented well? And sometimes when you have an over earthy metallic flavor in the middle with roasted grains, it really amplifies over time, and this beer really, I don't know, it's one of those, it's really a hard beer to nail down because it's so complex and really get it to a point where it appeals to most amount of people at the same time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's the kind of beer that I would like. I'd want a 6-pack of it. You
Yeah,
know, there's
absolutely.
those beers. You know, I am
Oh,
one
yeah.
of those crazy people that wants to try as many
Every
beers as
single beer.
possible.
I've never had this.
But you know, this is the kind of beer where, I kind of want a 6-pack of this.
Like
in
I
my
will
fridge.
drink 2 or 3 of these in a row. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
This is one of my favorite of the core brands that we make. If I were to have an after shift beer, it would I usually go to a Red Fish or maybe our Exit 16. So 2 completely different beers, but it's one of my favorite of the core brands.
You know that shelf, like in the library, where they used to do it, like in the record store when there were still record stores, where they'd be like the staff picks.
Yes.
Or like at Blockbuster,
Yes.
it should be like,
See-
what's your brewer drinking
Like, what's
today?
playing right now? I want to buy
Editor's
that.
choice.
What's Chris drinking today? While he's
staff
yelling at the
watching?
barrels.
He doesn't yell; he speaks.
I need to
As
speak-
he's speaking to
I need
the
to start a
barrels.
Twitter, I think.
Can I interject? I just remembered there's still a little bit of tequila on the table.
Oh, yes.
There's still an entire
And a half a bottle, by the way.
Already poured.
Yeah. Well, we've had some good beers already, and I feel like we're loose enough, and
We're
we
ready to
had-
have some fun?
We're ready to have some happy fun.
Let's have some
Not,
happy fun.
not sad fun, but happy fun.
Have a good time.
Wayne, what do you got?
Cheers, the internets, and welcome to Happy Fun Time Games, the only podcast trivia segment voted most likely to be mistaken for Gary Busey at a cocktail party.
I worked with a woman once that looked like Gary Busey.
Wow.
And apparently so does Happy Fun Time Games. And here we say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because today we return to the tried and true, the continuation of the beer education of the Beer Busters Nation, that is Libation or Fabrication. You know how this works. Is it real? Is it fake? Is this all a dream? What is reality, and where are my pants? I am going to tell you the name of the beer, and you have to tell me if it's real or fake, and we will begin in time-honored tradition. To my left, with Dan. Tell me, is this beer real or fake? This beer is called Creamy Wet Spot.
Wow. Wow. I'm gonna go fake.
You're gonna go fake on that one?
God
Okay.
willing.
Okay, rockin' gravy.
God forbid that's real. That's fake.
All right, saying it's fake. Barry, what do you think?
I don't know. I like the Munsters, so I like spot underneath the stairs. So I'll say real.
You say real? Okay. It's a bit of a stretch, but Chris,
I'm going to say fake.
you're gonna say that's fake, and finally, Steph.
I'm going to say real.
You're going to say real. Well, Steph and Barry, you are correct. Because that is a truly real beer. It is the creamy wetness to hit the spot. It is a cream ale from Sick and Twisted Brewing in South Dakota.
Fitting.
It's easy to drink with small hops and a light body and a smooth summertime brew with a light, crisp finish. You can pair it with a fresh, springy salad, grilled chicken, white fish, or a bologna sandwich.
Wow.
Moving on to beer number 2, and Slimy Sauce is going to go first on this one, and this beer is called It Burns When I Wee Heavy.
Oh, man.
Is that real or fake?
Fake.
All right, Mark is saying that's fake. Barry, what do you think?
I say fake.
Saying fake as well. Moving over to Chris, your answer.
I'm going to say real.
You're going to go ahead and say real. Steph, what do you think?
I want it to be real.
You want it to be real? Is that
What's
your
better than a spicy wee heavy?
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
That's your final answer. And moving on to Dan.
I'm gonna go fake.
Dan is going to go fake. You know what's better than a spicy wee heavy? The fact that I made that up with my very own brain parts. That is not a real beer, but it could be super roasty with a hint of hot pepper, or it could just be a touch of the clap. Moving on to Barry for our next beer. You're going to guess first on this one. Tell me, is it real or fake? This beer is called By the Sour of Grayskull.
Oh, I want to have that. I want it to be real.
I think we're all just going to say yes.
It better be
Yes.
real.
Yes.
If it's not, Flying Fish is brewing that beer tomorrow.
All right. Well, first guess is real. Chris, what's your guess?
I'm going to say yes all day.
You're going to say yes all goddamn day,
all
Steph.
day on that
If
one.
it's not real, then there's something wrong with America for not coming up with that already.
All right, for the sake of the nation, Steph says real. Dan, what's your answer?
I'm going real.
You're going real as well. And finally, Mark.
Real.
Oh, real. Everybody says real, and everybody is correct. Because that
I
is,
must
in
have
fact,
this beer.
a real beer. It's a very lightweight, 2.5% ABV Berliner Weiss.
What?
From our...
That's not that sour.
I feel like it has to be more powerful to be
Yeah.
Hi, hi. have the power.
It does not
and
have
I'm
the
a 2.5% Berlin. It's like the stupid and a touch of lemon
Tigger
beer.
could eat that beer.
A subtle hint of
A
lemon.
subtle hint of lemon. The Iron Maiden beer that was just lemonade.
But yes, it's kind of short at 2.5%. It's from our brewing company in Holland, Michigan. It was poured at the Michigan Brewers Guild 2015 Summer Beer Festival this past July. Filet mignon. So it was only made once. It was a one-off for a festival. So if you don't like it, it's gone. All right, we're moving on, and Chris is going to guess first on this one, and this beer is called My Aching Bach.
Wow.
Real.
He's saying that's real. Steph, what do you think?
Real.
Steph is saying real. Dan, your guess.
I'm going to go fake.
You're going to go fake for My Aching Bach. Mark, what do you think?
Real.
Mark is saying real, and finally, Mary.
9.
9, as in not real, fake. Well, my brother and Barry, you are correct. That is not a real beer. It contains punnery and
I think
infixing,
Barry is cheating.
but it is not real.
I got my bitten out apple.
I've got my device.
Wait, what was it called again? That's got to be real.
My Aching Bach, as in M-A-I, Aching Bach, as in my Bach with aching in the middle. While Steph Googles. Actually, oh, you're untapping. Whatever.
Calculating.
And if it's a homebrew, that doesn't count.
I know.
By the way, those are the rules. All right, doing a little fact checking. I'm going to wait because you're the next up to guess on our.
No, go ahead. I can multitask.
Our final beer. Okay, our final beer of the evening, and Steph's going to guess first on this one. This beer is called Lumpy Gravy.
Oh, too perfect.
Is that real or fake?
Let's see. I said real for all the others. I'll just say real.
Okay, fair enough. Steph's saying real. Dan, what do you think?
Real.
Dan is saying real. Rockin' Gravy himself.
Because it's one of my many nicknames, I gotta go real.
You gotta go real. Slimy Sauce. Barry, what do you think?
I think real.
You think real, and Chris?
I'm going to stay true with getting them all wrong, and I'm going to say it's fake.
You're gonna say it's fake. Well, you've broken the trend, my friend. No, you haven't, because you're wrong. It's actually real. So everybody except you was correct. Unfortunately, Chris.
That was purposeful.
It is an American strong ale brewed by Lagunitas in Petaluma, California. It was brewed in 2000. It was brewed in 2007 in honor of the 40th anniversary of the release of the Frank Zappa album of the same name, Lumpy Gravy. Yes, it is included in today's game in honor of the one and only Rockin' Tuna Gravy, Slimy, Grimy Sauce.
Pickles. Pickles.
Half of those were real words. So we're going to add up the points real quick, or rather I'm going to have my intern Steph do it for me. My apologies, I'm flipping.
That's cool.
So it looks like our big winner today is head brewer here at Flying Fish, the one and only Barry, with a perfect score of 5 points.
You can't fool him.
Out of 5, my friend. Coming in at a surprising second place is Dan.
Hey!
With 4 points, and one shy of a German sparkle party is Mark and Steph, tied at 3 points apiece, and sitting all the way at the bottom with not nothing, but 1 point is Chris.
Ein
indeed.
No try.
No bonus points this time?
No bonus.
No bonus points?
No
Okay.
bonus
I
points.
had to double check.
Congratulations, Barry.
Oh, thank you. Yay! Get the
That's
beer.
why he's head brewer.
Well, now that we played a little bit of a game, I feel like we should learn something.
No. Your beers. No. Know your beers.
Steph, what do you got?
So recently I was reading an article on beeradvocate.com. Apparently I spend way too much time on that website. And I found an article about tipping for beer. So I'm going to kind of educate you, but I think I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit tonight.
Here we go.
So I have to say I couldn't agree more with this article. Too often I see beer drinkers leaving pocket change or no tip at all when they're ordering a beer. And in my opinion, that's not cool. If you tip for food, why wouldn't you also tip for beer? The current industry standard in the U.S. for tipping is between 18 and 20%, with the average better beer costing about $4.50, which I thought was kind of on the low side. But we should all be tipping at least $1 per beer. Remember that you're paying for a service. And why is it important to pay for service? Well, many bartenders and servers, on average, are making a salary of less than $4 an hour. So they rely solely on tips to make a decent living. Your tip also shows that you appreciate their hard work and occasionally putting up with your drunk ass. You should also plan on tipping big early in your drinking session if you plan to drink a lot, because we all know how forgetful we become when we start drinking a lot of beer. So a buck a beer will ensure a better time for you and your bartender or server. At the bar, good tippers become priority and as a result are served faster. You might get some special service or some beers bought for you, and you'll feel good about yourself as beer karma washes over you. Another thing to consider is the amount of time that you spend at the bar or table. The more time you stay, the less your occupied area can be turned over, resulting in fewer tips for the server or bartender. Don't feel rushed as long as you're an ordering customer, and consider tipping a bit extra before you head out. If you're just hanging out, milking your beer, or reading a book, go home. Allowing a paying customer to grab your seat is a better option. Unfortunately, bad service, of course, is inevitable. When you do run into it, the best thing you can do is stay calm. Don't be an asshole. Be polite, and if the bad service continues, ask for a manager. But be constructive in your criticism and work with everyone to salvage the situation.
Alternatively, burn the place down.
I believe you on my statement. And get back to enjoying your experience and your beer. And of course, it is super important, the places that you frequent, tip them well. These people know you. They get to know your name. They put special beers on tap for you.
They might know where you live.
You know, it's only a couple extra dollars. Show them that they mean a lot to you and that their establishment is awesome. So tip at least $1, and again, even more if it's a place that you frequent. So that's my soapbox for today.
That's very good. And I just want to say, as someone who's worked in the restaurant industry for a very long time,
I could never do that, I just have to say.
A lot of people don't realize that tipped positions like waitresses and bartenders, they are only required to make minimum wage, including their tips, which means they do get like $3 or $4 an hour.
And
so
it
they
just
rely
shows that
on,
you appreciate them, especially for those places that you frequent. If it's a place, if I go in, especially if they know my name, they know the beers I like, they're willing to put a beer on tap for me if I beg them strong enough. I mean, I am going to tip them well. They will go out of their way to do something awesome for you, and it's important to treat them as such.
Absolutely.
So cheers.
Don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
Don't be an a-hole.
And if you go, and I will also say from experience, if you frequent a bar often and you do tip well, you will get free drinks occasionally.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, yeah.
They will treat you well, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. Cool.
And let you record your podcast at their establishment.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Sometimes that happens. So now that we know not to be an asshole.
Beer me! Beer me! Beer me! Beer me!
Round 2, fight.
Really like round 17. But hey, there's a beer that Wayne poured for me. Thank you for pouring that, Wayne. What are we starting off with here?
Welcome.
Wait, I wrote it down. We're starting with Hopfish, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
we are.
Look at me on top of these things. Just ignore me.
It's really good.
So this is an English style IPA.
Ooh, what makes it English style?
It has an accent.
Oh, I want me some Hopfish.
Some flying fish and chips.
You can eat it with fish and chips.
You can eat with fish and chips. Yeah.
Flying fish and chips.
Flying fish and chips.
Brilliant.
Obviously.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yes, it's been that kind of night.
It has.
Ooh. It's a lighter IPA, a little bit more well-balanced. It's not hop forward. It's not citrus forward. It's more floral.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, it has caramel malts holding up the backbone of the beer, and then the floral notes of the hops really finish it.
And this is another year-round beer, like the Red
Yes,
Fish?
it's probably our
biggest
best seller.
Yeah.
Yeah, this drives the brewery.
I could see that because it's an IPA. So it's got that hop character, but it's not, like you said, super in your face. It's subtle and balanced, and so it appeals in the sense that IPAs are super popular and everybody loves IPAs, but also because it's not huge dank hop bomb.
No, it's intentionally not that way.
It's intentionally almost like the beer that you want to sit at a pub and watch a game and be able to finish watching the game, and then order one or two of those big beers you do want to have. So it to me, it's the pub ale that I want to drink at a tavern.
Plus, if you're eating something, I mean, I love a triple IPA more than anyone, but this won't obliterate my taste buds to the point where I don't know what I'm eating anymore. It's very well balanced. It's very well in tune. It's meant to last, and it's just a good beer.
What I like about it is you don't get the hoppiness at the front. It only, like, even just going off of what I'm feeling in my tongue, like, it hits bitterness in the back of my mouth.
Yeah, the hops are spread a little bit more of a traditional 60-40, English style bittering. So it really is more of a satisfying in the middle of the beer, where you feel the meat and potatoes of the caramel malts. So you don't get the I'm not whacked in the face with bitterness. I drink a beer here. I can taste all the components at once, and then traveling through the beer, you kind of feel the bitterness, and then you feel the sweetness of the malts kind of finishing out.
Yeah.
It's really nice, and intended that way because we use Thomas Fawcett's Pale Crystal, which I really love. That's one of my favorite malts to use in a beer, and that was one of the first changes I made on Hopfish when we started brewing it.
I like it. I think it works out very, very, very well.
Thank you.
It's another go-to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a go-to. It's a simple yet at the same time extremely complex beer.
Yeah.
And completely approachable and drinkable. And it's kind of everything you want in a beer. Like you said, like if you're watching a game or just hanging out and you want to have a few.
If you watch games.
If you watch games. There's nothing wrong with watching games.
I watch Game of Thrones. But no, this is another six-pack beer. Like we said about the Red Fish, this is a beer that I would sit and I would have, if I wasn't looking to try a bunch of different beers, if I just wanted to sit and have a couple beers, this is a beer I would have 2 pints of. I'd have 3 pints of, or 2 bottles at home or whatever while I'm watching not a game, but
Unless
something else.
Not a game unless
And I approach beers with the social dynamic, where you're drinking with somebody else and you're designing a beer for an experience. It's not just a singularity. You're in a group. Beer is social, so it's meant to have that application where 2 people can look at each other and go, we're having a great time.
Yeah, we're having a great time.
I hate to bring it out to that simplistic level, but again, if 2 people can't have that conversation about hops, if you're talking about okay, wow, this is really super dank and it's like pineapple-y mango and and cherry, and the other guy's like, no, I don't get it.
It's okay to just drink beer and have a good time.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's
we
okay.
don't have to have a deep
It's okay.
conversation about it.
We're not delivering babies or saving lives. It's beer.
What Barry's saying though is what I think of this beer is, and what I use it a lot for is if I'm going to a friend's having a barbecue or a party or something at someone's house, I will pick Hopfish to take as the beer that I take. Mm-hmm. Of all the beers we have, I think it's the one beer that it will appeal to the most people in the crowd, whether what style you like or not. It's not heavy on the hops. It's not heavy on a certain Belgian yeast or anything. It's a good, steady beer, I think, that most people appeal to.
But it's also still very unique. It's very approachable and it's very drinkable, but it's very unique. There's not many beers out there that are quite like this. It's hard to explain.
No, I don't think you're seeing a lot of English IPAs on the shelves.
No.
I don't think you do.
because everybody wants to focus on the hop bitterness because that's what most IPA drinkers want.
Yeah. And it's sort of
it's the fireworks that you're trying to deliver, and it's no, this beer is not that. This is something else.
But it will fulfill that hop craving. It gives you that punch of bitterness, those great hops. But it gives
you more than
I think
that.
the floral, it almost makes you think a little bit. It's hoppy, but floral hops are not usually the celebrate. It's all about the citrus and piney hops.
It has a touch of everything. It has a bit of the malt in it. It has a bit of the sweetness. It has a bit of the hops. I think it's just I think it's just a well-rounded beer.
As a brewer, it's the vocabulary to go out to your consumer and say, "Hey, we're going to have a conversation." It's let's start talking, and we all can look at each other and go, "Okay, I understand." We're not in the double IPA world. Mm-hmm. We're just talking about beer. Let's get more intimate and go to the next level, and then talk about different beers.
It's a conversation starter.
It's a conversation.
I almost get the finish is almost jasmine-like to me.
Yeah.
It's so
And what's really cool is our aroma hops are nugget. So you would never
associate those two things.
Nugget and go, wow, it's a floral hop. Jam it. But it proves a point that brewers putting unique ingredients together can produce a different product, and
Yeah.
you're like, okay.
Well, and it highlights, and it's kind of like we were talking about the yeast earlier, in that you could take the same strain of yeast and depending on how you treat it, the temperature at which it ferments and all of that will drastically change what it contributes to the beer. In that, and the same thing with the hops is when the hop additions occur.
Of course,
is going to change the character that the hop imparts, and it just highlights the fact that a beer recipe is as much, if not more, about the process as it is
Completely.
the ingredients.
It's living and breathing, and it relies on the components. Us humans trying to really orchestrate it together and make it happen, and that's really the cool thing about getting everybody on the same page. It's like, here's how we do this and make this product. And then as a commercial brewery, make it happen over and over again.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the Star Wars edited version. I want to be
the original cut.
I want to be the original cut over and over again.
You're a Han shot first kind of guy.
So, moving on.
So this is exit
16.
One of them. Exit 16.
Oh, this is the wild rice,
AKA the Meadowlands.
Dippa.
Oh,
I thought you said the metal lands at first, and I got kind of confused.
The land of Metallica, Slayer, Lamb of God.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
Sounds like vomiting.
It does.
Too much tequila.
Anyway, let's talk about this beer.
The Meadowlands.
This is an
Double
8.2%.
IPA with rice. Wild rice.
Yes.
So how does wild rice connect to Exit 16 and the Meadowlands?
Meadowlands, there's a bunch of
rice
areas.
patties.
Yeah.
Look at it. Did you see the way he looked at me?
He's like, why don't you know this?
You don't know this?
He's like, you Pennsylvania people. Come on.
You don't use your blinkers,
You
and
eat
you
your
don't know
whoopie pies, and you ride your buggies.
We don't use our blinkers. We turn left wherever the fuck we want.
You crazy people.
And we don't have rice patties because this isn't Asia.
Wow.
This is why we have a table dividing us.
But no, okay, so there's
There's
area,
apparently wild rice at Exit 16.
Yeah.
So there is actually
rice fields.
Really?
Yes.
In
New Jersey.
Yeah.
No shit.
What does a rice field look like? I don't think I've ever seen one.
It's like a marshland.
Wet.
It's,
Okay.
It's very wet.
imagine a Vietnam movie.
Platoon. The guys flying over
Helicopters.
the helicopters. I love the smell of rice patties in the morning.
Wow.
Or Exit 16 in the morning, actually.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
That's good
now
time.
we're on track.
I like the dank hops.
Okay, although the notes do say, although usually identified with landfills and pipelines, the Hackensack Meadowlands is an amazingly diverse ecosystem providing vital animal and plant habitat. So 2 things I didn't know about the Hackensack Meadowlands is 1, that they're identified with landfills and pipelines, and 2, that they contain wild rice and an amazingly diverse ecosystem.
Did they invent the Hackensack?
And sports.
Because I'm ready to play one right now. Well, we don't use pipelines to make our beer.
But you do use rice in this beer,
Yes.
which is interesting.
It's brown rice, and it lightens up the quality of a double IPA. So the tail end is not so caramelly. It finishes very well. We use a combination of Citra, Simcoe, and the hops really,
I think the rice dries the beer out, too. It gives it a...
Yeah.
it dries...
Which
you
makes
can feel it
it,
evaporate off the tongue kind of dry.
which deceives you.
Yes.
Yes, because it's a double IPA.
Exactly.
8%, you're like, hey.
Which I think is a recurring theme with Flying Fish beer, is that you don't really recognize the alcohol in the beer until you recognize the alcohol in the beer.
Until it's too late.
You don't recognize
Or
the
until the
taste.
brewer gives you a shot of tequila.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's
Not
again-
every brewery can have tequila beer.
That's right.
It's really interesting because rice is often used as a sort of additive to just
it's
fill out or add fermentables or whatever to kind of fill in a beer that doesn't have a whole lot going on.
Usually it's denoted as an adjunct, and people think of it as, commercial beers, which is kind of a play on Exit 16. You think of the Newark Brewing Company of New Jersey, where you're thinking of AB, and you're going, okay, they use heavy rice in their, cereal cookers. So, we decided to play on it and have what can you do with a commercial beer and have those elements in it at the same time and be a craft beer, which is pretty
let's
cool.
use rice, but use it because we want to use rice, not to sort of pad or whatever. Yeah.
We're not using it as a fermentable. We're using it as an adjunct to like.
It's a flavor component.
Change the flavor and dry the beer
dry
out.
it out,
Yeah, we're not trying to cheat people of 40% of their product.
Right. Yes.
I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
It's there for.
Or
a
we
reason.
would sell for $64 billion.
Yeah. I made an offer, but they rejected it.
Oh well. Hold
Apparently,
on,
it was
you
an
never
offer
know.
they could refuse.
10 more years.
Yeah.
But this is quite nice, and you mentioned Simcoe, which is my favorite hop.
You know, in a double IPA, I that's to me what says double IPA. Simcoe has to be a part of it.
Yeah, because it's got that. It's got that.
Because it's Simcoe.
Yeah, well, it's got that dankness, but in this case, it's not front and center. It's sort of.
It's in the back.
I think in the background, like there's
you
there's more
get
of
it,
like
but
a fruity, citrusy type thing going
it's
on.
very
up front,
tropical.
And then you feel in the back that sort of that dank monster just creeping up behind you.
What's real cool is you travel through the citrus characteristics. You get into the garlic, onion characteristics of Simcoe, and then it's like the flavor dynamic takes you through such a trip that you're just it's like, wow, I want another sip.
Yeah.
Can I go through that journey again?
Well, yes. Yes, I can.
You can.
Well, yes, you can.
Actually,
I will.
Actually, I can't. I'm out. So
Slimy
sir.
Sauce can't. No. Yeah,
Yeah, I
you're
think-
both out.
yeah,
I think I'll have another.
And
it's not like there isn't more.
I hate this. This is awful. More, please.
Please.
Star Trek joke.
He's pushing the pitcher towards you.
Oh.
You want more? We got it.
All right.
Just small talk.
You're in the right place if you want more.
That's true.
It's really good. I really like it.
And what's cool about these beers is they've changed since the brewers have been here, the staff. So in the last 3 years, Flying Fish, everything is new. You can come back to these beers that you think are dated and you may have I've been there before. You can come back to them and go, okay, now
Well,
It's bringing new life into it.
Perhaps new-ish though,
Oh.
newish.
because you're still attracting those that have been fans for so long.
Right,
Well,
and that's
Like you
important.
can still
get-
come, and we're still making solid, good beers that you're going to love, but we're making them better.
Yeah.
Well, that's important because you got to be able to keep those people that are going to continue to buy your beer, and then you also want to attract the people that you want to buy your beer. So, I think that's what we're doing well. I think that's why we're sustaining with our core brands, and I enjoy brewing all these beers.
And drinking them.
And drinking
Well,
that's,
drinking them.
Yeah.
That's part of the job.
Yeah.
That's why.
Well, you
This
should-
is quality
That's why I get
control right
paid,
here.
yes.
That's what's happening.
You shouldn't brew beers that you don't enjoy drinking.
Amen.
It's a double-edged sword being one of the brewers.
Two things are happening right now. One, there's new beer. And two, there's a new person at the table.
Yay!
We have Leanne, who is the other brewer that was here working while the other brewers were drinking with us. Hi, Leanne.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
So we have the beer that we are about to drink. Which one is it?
It's another damn exit number. I can't
Well,
remember.
of course.
This is Exit 4, and the thing about this beer is we were passing around the pitchers, and I poured myself a sample, and I was kind of generous because I've been drinking a lot of beer and having fun. But then I was looking at the notes, and this beer sits at like 9-something%. This
Well,
is
it's a triple. What do you
It's a
expect?
well, I didn't know it was the triple. It was just a beer in a pitcher, and then I was like, oh shit, and then it's 9.5%.
Wow.
Sometimes 10.
Sometimes 10.
Because these notes were written in 1996.
1996. But sometimes yeast performs better.
Well, no, they
than
couldn't have
other
been because
yeast.
it also says winner of a gold medal at the 2009 Great
That was
American
added.
Beer Festival.
Oh.
That was added.
And named by Men's Journal as best Belgian beer brewed in America in 2009.
No way.
That's pretty fucking
Excellent.
awesome.
Look
I
at
didn't
you
know that.
bitches.
I didn't know
that. Well, it's in your notes. Somebody knew that.
Who writes this
They
stuff?
just
How come
I
I'm not
don't
getting
know.
these notes?
It's on flyingfish.com or flyingfish, whatever your website is, .com.
Flyingfish.com.
Yeah, I don't pursue participate.
He's a brewer.
Websites.
Well,
I
he's a
hate
brewer. He
websites.
doesn't participate in the internet. Brewers don't do
The
internet.
infranet? What are you talking about?
The what? The internet.
It's inside my computer.
And your phone.
It's a
What?
box
And your phone.
with a light on it. Leanna's already given up her headphones, by the way.
I feel like she's slowly going to move off that bench.
She's
and go
like-
back
She's
to the
like,
brewery.
yeah. I just got done working.
Yeah. Which is why you need a beer. So why don't you tell us about Exit 4?
Exit 4?
Yeah.
Okay, American style Belgian triple. So it's a traditional Belgian triple, but brewed with American hops. And like we said, 9.5%, sometimes 10.
Sometimes.
So what's at
Very
Exit
popular.
4 on the Turnpike?
Cherry Hill, which is where we used to be. That was our original location. And
okay.
we were
I used to work
the first brewery in New Jersey to make a Belgian style craft beer. So they made
nice.
that their flagship beer
That's
for
cool.
Exit 4, yeah.
Nice job. Slimy
cool.
Sauce, she does a better job than you do at explaining the beers, just saying.
You lose.
No, that's pretty awesome. It's delicious.
It is delicious.
It doesn't. I don't think it drinks like 9.5% like the
Oh,
rest
no,
of
it does
them.
not.
No,
Not
but
at
what
all.
does clue you in is that it has that distinct Belgian triple character. Like it's got that Belgian-y, clovey
Yeah.
sort of
It's
Belgian.
got that
Which
you're,
already
you're
said
not
it's
going
gonna
to
be
fool
more.
me taste.
But-
Exactly,
then-
and you're kind of like, wait a minute.
But then the people that aren't used to that come in here and they're like, "Oh, that's really sweet
Oh,
and
I'm gonna
delicious."
chug
And then
it,
they're
yeah.
3 in and they look up at the board and it's like, "Oh my god,
Whoa.
what have I done?"
I've made a huge mistake.
Someone call me a cab.
Uber mistake.
Yeah.
But
Fucking Uber.
So we've had a lot of Belgian
Beer.
style beers this evening. Are Belgian beers something you guys focus on? Is it sort of Belgian beers are a style that I really enjoy.
It's not a focus, but it's. I think it's
almost like a hobby, I guess.
it's predominant.
Please speak into a microphone.
Thank you.
It's not a focus.
We got bottles now, so I can easily remember what this one is because it's staring me in the face. This is Exit 9, which is the Hoppy Scarlet Ale.
Which is also 9%.
9%. Oh, I see what you did there.
It's almost like it was planned.
Oh my!
Keeping the theme.
There's a couple things I like about it right up front. The aroma is good, and I like that it's the Scarlet Ale because when I was in high school, I was in a band called Scarlet Intrusion. So it
Really?
takes me back to high school. Yeah, we almost opened up for you once.
Like
And then we realized we
a
didn't
year
know any
ago.
songs.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's cool.
remember that.
No.
So what?
I think I booked it through Tom.
Important conversation / question time. What is at Exit 9?
That is my
New Brunswick.
New Brunswick.
New Brunswick.
Is that a hoppy scarlet town?
Hoppy Scarlet Night.
That's all. That's all they drink.
Yeah.
Rutgers are the Scarlet Knights. So
Oh.
and what's
As
little
Pennsylvania
known
is now on board.
What's little known is that we wanted to originally call this beer Scarlet Fever, which is what they call themselves at the games. We have Scarlet Fever, but the federal government didn't think that was okay to call a beer Scarlet
Yeah,
Fever.
the cease and desist really put a kibosh on it.
Wow.
That sounds infectious.
every
So I guess you couldn't name a beer like chlamydia either.
No, well, we
Chlamydia. We could probably
Probably.
we could probably change our.
I think it beat Wayne at his own game.
I think so.
they actually
Slimy Sauce officially just won Libation or
Clamato.
Fabrication. That was the bonus round.
Exit 9 is a delicious beer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We'll be brewing that on Tuesday.
Sorry. All right. Okay. Woo. So, Hoppy Scarlet Ale.
Yeah. So Hoppy Scarlet Ale came to what it is now is because Scarlet Fever was shot down by the federal government. We couldn't name a beer that. So every beer name and label has to be approved by the feds. And they don't always
And
they don't always get approved.
They didn't like you calling it the name of an infectious disease.
no.
Apparently. No.
Like Hopfish was going to be Hopfish, like the band. And
Oh wow! And they're an infectious disease,
And-
so
Right.
and
Well,
they
yeah, you've
and
seen-
they wrote a cease and desist order.
Oh, Fish did?
Yeah.
Really?
Because it was going to be.
Oh, you thought they'd be cool though.
PHIS. They're like, no.
You know, Esh is not a letter.
So exit 9.
Exit
9.
Going back to New Brunswick. I like the hop flavor, the hop profile.
It's very good. It's actually, my question is, we've had a hoppy red ale, and now we're having a hoppy scarlet ale.
What's the difference between a red ale and a scarlet ale?
What is the distinction?
Couple degrees of ABV. So
Fair
that's 7 degrees. Our red fish is 7 ABV. This is 9, 9.5. The hops are, the aroma hops are just completely different.
Yep.
Right before we started dry hopping, I asked your friend. I was like,
your friend.
Why are you laughing?
Your boy. I was like, what will make this beer different? Mm-hmm. I was like, and that's the way I approach beer. It's like, what's going to make this beer? What's going to add to this beer? What's going to, what's going to change this beer? And you went, well, let's add some Simcoe. And I went, all right, just
can't go wrong with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one thing. I think the first iteration of Exit 9, they had Huell Melon, which just came out. It's a really popular Bavarian hop right now. And we didn't have any available, so when we came to do Exit 9, Barry came to me and he was like, what do you think will make this interesting? We don't have any Huell Melon. What do you think will kind of make this stand out? And, especially from my experience at Manayunk, it was like Simcoe. I think that'll be a nice little backbone to it, and as you can taste it, it adds a nice little bit of dankness, a little bit of funk, along with the Citra and some of the other hops that we use. It's like a nice little hop bouquet. And at first, it came out like we were tasting it each day of the dry hop, and we're like, oh man, the first day it was really catty, which is what Simcoe's known for. I'm like, oh no, what did I do? I'm going to be fired.
I would have liked that.
And then, then a couple days in, when we get to the fourth day of dry hopping, it's like, wow, this is really starting to round out and really come in balance. And then right when we put in the bright tank and started putting it to packaging, it was like, wow, this really came out really good. And yeah, I mean, we're all happy where it turned out. It's a really delicious beer.
I really like beers that showcase hops that aren't traditional IPAs, like a hoppy, like an IRA, an India Red Ale, or like this, a hoppy Scarlet Ale.
There's a lot of candy-like aromas on the hops going on. It's not like totally dank, and it's not totally like Citra. It has this, and it's not mosaic, where everybody's like, okay, I want this total fruit juice flavor. Spread it out and make it something interesting. That's why when we're about to dry hop the beer, I'm tasting the beer out of the fermenter, going, it's just not dynamically interesting. To me, it's not engaging. Like, why would I go to this beer and have another one?
Right.
What would change the factor? And I just looked at Mark and I'm like, what do you got? And he's like, here we go. Put it in. Let's.
You were having your inner Wayne come out.
Yes.
Why is that?
Wayne's answer to everything is Simcoe.
That's right. Really? It wasn't just that. It was just kind of looking at the hop bill. It was just, you had your Citra and you had some of your piney elements, and it was just like, all right, something to kind of cut that and make it interesting. And Simcoe just stuck out to me. Not from cat piss, but just like. Just that little bit of edge, but still having that pininess, and
not BO and cat piss.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with
that.
Cat piss. Completely.
But no, this is definitely more balanced than that. It doesn't veer into that territory. Yeah, but it just gives you that nice touch of dank, that nice touch of funkiness.
That's the problem. It's like, you look at a product and you're facing it and going, okay, in the next 10 days, it's going to go into the package. How is it going to look? How is it going to feel? How is it going to taste? Well, it's not right. What do you do at that point? And kind of look at a product, and you rely on your staff and you trust on them to give you good input.
So what do we have next?
That's a valid question. What do we have next?
This is Exit 15.
En español, por favor.
Or Fumsing.
Yeah.
Or 15.
Or 15.
Or
15.
It's a coffee IPA.
Oh yeah.
Is it a quinceañera?
Oh, wow, that is good.
Yeah.
I quite like that.
I love the smell of
It
this.
shouldn't be good. This is my problem. This should
shouldn't
not
be
be
good.
good.
Why?
But it is.
Just by the
Coffee
name?
and an IPA. That does not make sense.
That's what
at all.
you see online all the time.
It
That's
does
what
not-
we've.
but
That's
it
what we've had a
doesn't
lot
make
of fun
sense.
with. Is like
wow.
people see it and they're like coffee and IPA. That doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
And
No,
then
it
when you
kinda
pour
does.
it's
does
clear, and people are like, that doesn't make any sense. There's coffee in it, but it does. You taste it and you're like, it shouldn't, but it does, and it's good.
If you
really
think
good.
of it, though, IPAs are bitter. They're hot bitterness. Coffee is bitter. Why wouldn't they go together?
And I think it's a perfect example that you could take the bitter quality of coffee, and particularly like the fresh coffee ground type aroma, which is what this has.
Oh, yeah.
And find that sort of notch in hop bitterness where that will work.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't think it would work with any hops. I don't think it would work with any IPA, but you could make it work, and this does work.
Yeah, our head brewer, our lead brewer, Chris Ham, really thought, he's like, this is what I want to do. I want to do an IPA that really, like, people visually look at it and go, okay, it's an IPA, and get this hop aroma and coffee aroma that really just beguiles you and go, wow, I want to get inside this and just go deeper. So it's...
Sorry, we just couldn't. Sorry.
Oh my!
I was worried.
Sorry.
That sounds like an episode name right there.
We're
that's
like 12 all of a sudden.
Well,
You were having like a serious conversation about beer. We all just busted up laughing like a bunch of fucking children. I apologize.
As soon as he started that sentence, I'm like,
You knew exactly
I was like,
where I
oh
was
no.
going.
But
The funny thing is, that's what Ham really meant.
yeah. And I have to be the spokesman for it. You're welcome.
No pills were abused to make this beer.
Are you sure?
But
Positive.
the funny thing about this beer is when we were going through the whole tasting process. I mean, when you come out with a new beer, you want to keep tasting it. It's in fermentation day 1, you want to taste it. It's fermentation day 4, you want to taste it. You just really want to see all its qualities. And this beer, when we got mid-fermentation, it was like we were tasting and we're like, why are we putting coffee in this? This is so damn good. it was a really, really good IPA. Mm-hmm. And then we put the coffee in and it was like, oh.
It's even better.
we knew what we were doing. And
At what point did you add the coffee?
we added the coffee in secondary. So once we left fermentation and filtered it, we added the coffee.
And then how did you add the coffee? Like, was it
Grounds, beans.
grounds?
was cold pressed
Cold pressed
coffee.
concentrated. We used a local roaster in Collingswood, New Jersey, Revolution Coffee Roasters.
And what exit are they at?
Ooh.
15-ish.
I stumped Slimy Sauce.
Yeah, you stumped the sauce.
2.
You've stumped the sauce.
No.
I feel like if they're not at exit 15, then
They don't
there's
have
a
an
problem.
exit.
No, it
There's a
has
problem.
more to do
No.
with the upper north region. What was it, Maxwell House?
Yeah, they had
Yes.
a Hoboken plant.
It was
Oh,
the
okay. So
It was the original, the first coffee roasting plant in the United States.
Oh, they were the
really?
first.
That's cool.
Oh, wow. No shit.
So that's
Okay.
where we...
You are forgiven, Sauce.
The sauce is
You, you know, you have to say something. People can't see you bowing.
He's doing this.
I think that captures his body language perfectly.
Yes, it does.
But no, we were really, really happy with this beer. I mean, we've seen a lot of great reviews online, but it can't seem to express how happy we are when we came out with this. When the weeks after we released this beer, you could see staff members across our tasting room bar just 15, because it was a matter of pride. It started as a small batch beer. We brewed it 10 gallons at a time, and it became popular, and then it turned into this big thing where now people are like, wow, that's Flying Fish, and yeah, it is, and it surprises people.
It should not be good, but it's amazing.
It is.
Yeah, it is. It's like
deceptive.
on paper, you're like that.
Amazing.
On paper.
That's not on paper.
That's not on paper. It sounds like one of those homebrews, like, you know, when you go to a homebrew fest and somebody's like, I made this homebrew and it's like
try my chocolate cherry oyster
or
wood broccoli porter.
This is like hard iced tea with like pigeon shit in it or something, and it's supposed to be amazing. It kind of reads like that, but not that bad. And we're like, coffee and an IPA, like really? Like that just sounds like silly. But it works so well. And the interesting thing is, and we mentioned this earlier, it may have been off air, we had the coffee Kolsch at St. Benjamin Brewing.
Oh, yeah.
We Should Beer.
In Philadelphia, We Should Beer. And the weird thing for me is, like, it tastes amazing. But what always gets me is that looking at this beer, and it's a pale-colored beer. It's a straw, golden-colored beer. And to smell and taste coffee in it, just it sort of confuses the senses, because you expect a stout or a porter or a dark beer that's going to look like coffee and taste like coffee, and it just, I don't know, it's that sort of juxtaposition between the way it looks and the way it tastes, like it just adds an extra something to it.
And that's the element of like challenging the beer drinker. It's like, okay, I'm going to pour it into a glass. Like, wait, that's not going to be.
It doesn't look like coffee at all.
It's not going to add up to the experience I'm going to get into. And then you have that experience, you're going, oh, wow, wait a second. There's citra hops on top of the Ethiopian Colombian mix, and you're like, wow, this is engaging. I get hops and the coffee. They're not competing, and they're in balance.
And
that's the best.
It very much teases the hop head in a lot of people. This is probably one of the biggest IPAs we've ever made here.
Would you say it tickles their hops?
It
come
may.
on.
It may.
And the hand gesture when you did that was the worst of all.
But it's probably
with all fingers engaged.
Engaged.
As he's drinking his beer.
But it's
and tickling his hops.
Tickling the hops.
It's probably one of the biggest.
We only have 2 hops, right?
I'm sorry. Start over.
It's okay. It's okay. It's probably one of the biggest IPAs we've ever made, and it very much teases the hop head in a lot of people, especially that first sip. But then once it settles in, the second, third, fourth sip.
Wow.
Just a sip?
Just a sip.
Just a sip?
The second, third, and fourth sip, it really kind of settles in and almost tastes like a coffee with cream and sugar, and you're like, oh,
yeah.
There's like
your
it's
eyes,
very much like double IPA,
your
and then
eyes
it's just
are
like,
lying to
wait,
you.
what?
It's not what it really looks like.
And it does, and you're right, because as you drink more of it, you acclimate to the hop character, which I think you do at a lot of IPAs, which is why they sort of evolve in taste as you go through them, is because, you know, you initially get that bitterness and that hop character like assaults you, and then your palate gets used to it, and then
your
it sort of
olfactory
changes
shuts down.
Yeah, and you start to perceive these things that are sort of lying under the surface, and under the surface of this is a delicious cup of coffee.
Yeah. Like Chris, like every day, like when we were approaching terminal, like degree attenuation, he's going, we shouldn't put coffee in there.
Or you should at least split it and put like coffee in half of it and save the other.
The entire brew staff like almost revolted. Like it was like, besides Barry, it was just like the four of us were just like, no, you cannot put coffee in this. This is so good. And it came out really good. We were really happy with it.
I think it'd be really good in a barrel.
I wouldn't be surprised if the base beer showed itself again without the coffee. And I wouldn't be surprised if
I want to see the base beer, and I
aged.
want to see this beer in a barrel. Do it. Get to work.
Wow. You have your orders.
That's your assignment.
So we have something here that was apparently done specifically for Steph. It's a firkin, a yet unnamed firkin. But
it's temporarily called Demon Fish.
Temporarily,
Demon
the
Fish,
working title is Demon Fish.
Magnimus Shardicus.
And in smelling it, I have to play this.
It smells like betrayal.
Indeed.
You're welcome, sir.
Indeed. So this is this is hopfish with habaneros and ghost pepper extract. To be honest, it's not super crazy hot.
Yeah.
Which I like.
Yeah, me too.
It's almost like
Suck it, Steph.
Yeah, suck
but
it,
like
Steph.
the look in your eyes at first was kind of like, oh shit, I didn't do it hot enough.
No, but it's good.
I appreciate this.
It may not appeal to Steph's.
Or you're like, fuck you, Steph. It's a beer.
Cheers.
It's a spicy beer that other people.
It's a spicy beer that has broad appeal because
a spicy beer that has broad appeal.
yes, because it appeals to broads.
What kind of broads?
Steph is choking Wayne right now.
It's like eating like a mild Mexican dish. Like it doesn't leave you like my mouth is on fire and I want to kill myself.
It's almost like those what is it? The Mexican chocolates with a little bit of heat. The chocolate.
Yeah, it's just that subtle heat, and it's quite nice actually.
So it's a spicy
Shut up,
beer
Steph.
for you pussies.
It's a pussy
Shut up,
spicy beer.
Steph.
But I like it. I like it for a pepper beer.
It's good. It's a good beer.
Yeah.
Shut up, Meg.
No, it's a fun firkin though. And you mentioned the idea of adding some sort of fruit item and cinnamon. I'm sorry, I wasn't listening very well.
Yeah, Barry and I were just riffing, and we thought it would be nice, like a touch of fruitiness, because it's in
Apricot?
such balance. Apricot and a little bit of cinnamon.
I think cinnabon would go really well.
It's almost an inspiration from our lovely brewer over there, Leanne, who we had an in-house brew off where it was 5 to 6 teams that were randomly selected an ingredient a la Chopped from the Food Network. And we all brewed the beer. We were selected. It was each brewer was selected a person or two from packaging, and we put them on tap. And basically, it was just the customers came in and decided on the beers which one was the best one. And Leanne's beer won that competition. It was. Describe the beer for us, Leanne.
It was a Belgian blonde. The secret ingredient was saffron that we had to deal with, and so we did apricots and Mexican cinnamon.
I think that you said had to deal with.
Yeah, it was very. It was very nefarious. We kind of like fishbowled it, where we put a bunch of weird ingredients in there.
Did you
with
flying fishbowl it?
Yeah, flying fishbowled it. And it got to the point where, to the end, it was like, okay, what don't we want to brew with? And
somehow saffron made it through.
Somehow it did. And dehydrated peanut butter, but we won't go into that.
Thank God you didn't brew with them together.
Their beer came out on top. It was very good with like apricot and cinnamon, and just that little bit of note I think would go great with the spiciness and a little bit of the hop fish with the malty backbone. So random, but yeah.
Look for it at a Flying Fish near you.
Yeah. Wait,
there are more of them? I was going to say, not like an actual flying fish, like if you're on the ocean and like...
I don't know, perhaps.
If you happen to reel in a flying fish, it's like, where's the firkin of habanero and ghost chilies with cinnamon and the fish is like, I can't breathe.
Kill it, it has beer.
Wow.
Oh.
That is not going to work, in case you were wondering.
Wow.
What happened to
Just
us?
so you know.
I don't know.
What
Pause
happened to
and
you?
save.
Pause and save.
I'm thinking outro before we get any worse.
Yes, I agree. Dan, help.
Yeah. So on that note, I can barely read at this point. We had like 17 8 or higher beers. Yeah. Nah, close enough.
There's still a bottle of tequila on the table.
A bottle of what?
A bottle.
There's a bottle of tequila. There's a bottle of tequila on the table. Tequila Mockingbird.
Pause and save.
Pause and save. That's your next firkin. Pause and save.
Pause and save.
God. Well, yeah, Vince is going to do pause button. So we can have pause and save.
And they're going to do pause and save.
Pause button.
Pause and save.
Coming to a theater near you.
So, flyingfish.com.
Flyingfish.com. Now, here's what I find interesting. Your Facebook and Twitter are not Flying Fish.
They're Jersey Fresh Ale.
They smell stinky at some point.
What the hell?
Outro.
What does that mean?
Okay. Let's try that again.
Yeah, so
to find Flying Fish on Facebook and Twitter.
Facebook.com/Jersey Fresh Ale.
Or at Jersey Fresh Ale on the tweets.
Twitter.
On the tweets.
Yes.
Because it is the only fresh ale in Jersey.
Come
I
on
presume.
Wednesday for barrel-aged beer, and come on a Thursday or sometimes a Friday and enjoy a firkin.
Tours on Saturday and Sunday.
Tours on Saturday and Sunday.
Mr.
But
Block.
the brewers won't be here.
Bring the whole family.
Bring the whole family.
I think Barry just rage quit.
I think he did too.
It's been a long night.
It has.
What happened to Chris?
I don't know.
He left.
Exactly.
Elvis has left the building.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
All right. Now, if you do want to come to Flying Fish, which you should, Wednesday to Friday, you're open, 3 to 8. And then Saturdays, 12 to 6, Sunday, 12 to 4. So you've got a very
right
small
now they
window.
are closed at this moment
Yes,
in time.
at this moment, as of this recording, we are here 2 hours and 45 minutes after close. Thank you for letting us in
and
here.
we tap our own firkins.
And
Exactly.
we have
seems to
our
be a
own
trend.
Friday the 13th.
Firkinteenth.
No.
Well, let's not forget that this episode was brought to you by Audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/beerbusters to get your free 30-day trial of audiobooks at audibletrial.com/beerbusters.
Yeah, what he said. It's clearly been a long night.
Shut up, Mark.
Long night.
Shut up.
And then some.
Shut up,
with
Dan.
tequila and a shitload of beers. But sadly, this will bring us to the end of another episode of Beer Busters.
We need to get out of New Jersey.
Guys, thank you so much
All
for
right.
letting us back in your state and having us here to get us drunk.
Anytime.
I'm taking you up on that.
I never gave my approval.
You're the one who asked us to.
Hey, we took a left, man.
Hey.
We took a left.
If you
turn
want to
off
get
the
it
highway.
strange next time, we'll make it strange.
All right, we can do that. We can do that.
Part
This
two.
is mild.
Look for the next episode of Beer Busters podcast at Flying Fish entitled "Make It Strange."
Make it strange.
All right, let's do this. Just
Yeah,
no
well, I
squids.
mean, I don't have
Pause
enough.
and save.
No squids or arms
No,
making this episode.
But we have to say our names too. So now
I'm
I gotta
Steph
wait for
Hefner.
My name is Dan
Start-
Baker. This
start
is
the
Steph
music
Hefner.
again.
We gotta
Start
start the
the
music
music.
again. Which
Oh
we'll talk about
my
more.
God.
Come on, we're almost there. Wayne, there's 40 seconds left. 40
We already
seconds.
said our name.
Where's my trailer?
I didn't say my name. Wayne said my name.
No,
no,
Wayne said his name.
No, he said my name too. Well, yeah, a lot of fun. Amazing. Indeed.
We are preserved for you.
We're reserved at this table, and it's been a hell of a night. And I'm trying to think of other things to say that I haven't said already.
I'm Dan Baker.
I am Dan Baker, joined as always,
by my brewologist,
and co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
and our fermentertainer.
Wayne Baker.
I forgot my name.
No squids were
Some
harmed in the
squids
making of this
might have
episode.
been harmed in the making of
And
this
tomorrow
episode.
we have
They
Brewphoria.
definitely
Oh shit.
What she said.
Ink on me, bitch.